Welcome to Behind the Curtain, Nashville's movers, shakers,
and tastemakers.
Brought to you by Chord Real Estate, your key to the heart of Nashville. I'm Steve Luther alongside my co-host Van Hoy.
Here we peel back the layers of Nashville's vibrant scene, sitting down with the innovators, creators, and leaders who shape our city. From music to business and everything in between, we dive into the journeys that have brought them to where they are today.
We're here to uncover the stories behind the success, the passion driving their pursuits, and why they've chosen Nashville as their stage. It's about the people who dream big, push boundaries, and make this city truly unique.
So join us as we explore the heart and soul of Nashville through the eyes of those who know it best.
Well, today we're excited to welcome Michael Farrell.
Yes, we are.
A distinguished experiential marketer and the visionary founder and president of RedStory. With a career spanning over 3 decades, Michael has excelled in connecting brands with people through transformative experiences that leave a lasting impact. From his early days as a major label recording artist to leading innovative marketing strategies at RedStory, Michael's journey is a testament to his deep understanding of how to create immersive, branded experiences that resonate on a human level. At RedStory, he continues to push the boundaries of traditional marketing by crafting emotional connections between brands and their audiences, ensuring every campaign is not just seen, but felt. Michael, welcome to the show.
Hey, Thanks for having me. Quite an introduction.
Yeah. Now, before we get to RedStory, I want to hear your story.
Yeah.
So you were a major label recording artist.
Well, before I got into this, I wanted to be a rock star like every 13-year-old kid.
Yeah.
I was listening to Kiss records and had posters all over my wall, and
that's
what I needed to
Sticking your tongue out.
Absolutely. And then, after high school, I packed up and went to what was then the land of opportunity in the music business, Los Angeles.
Yes.
And hit the Sunset Strip and played the Whiskey and the Roxy and the Troubadour.
The City of Angels.
All of them. Put flyers on posters and sold tickets for people to come see our shows and just
play the Viper Room.
That wasn't there when I was first there. By the time I left, it was okay. I played there, but stumbled across an opportunity with a MCA artist named Tiffany, and ended up in her band. And the first real legit show I did in Los Angeles was the Tonight Show.
I love it.
My parents thought I was going to starve to death, but I called them up and said, "Watch TV tonight at 11:30.
Turn it on
NBC, and you'll see I'm not going to starve to death."
I love it.
So yeah,
it's so good.
That's the intro.
Yeah.
Now, how many instruments do you play?
I play guitar and bass and piano and little drums. Had a publishing deal with Warner Chappell for a few years.
Okay.
Well, so, yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
Did you know Bob Farrell by chance?
No, I didn't, but I should, because he's got a great name.
Yes, he does. He had a band called Farrell and Farrell. Had my favorite song in the 80s, People in a Box.
I'm going to look him up, and we're going to start a band.
You got to look him up.
Because then there'd be two.
He's a good guy. He's a good guy. I'm just saying.
Yeah. And what's the genre for Farrell and Farrell band?
Well, I would call it like early 80s Christian pop disco meets something. But it's fun.
It sounds like a visionary.
He
sounded super cool.
He and his wife, they were visionary, or are, whatever.
Well, Bob, if you're listening,
I have to check
look me up. Let's connect.
Absolutely. He even did a big band thing with big voices, and did a Carnegie Hall, and did a whole tour with him doing that kind of a genre of music too. So
wow, what a talent!
Oh, big talent.
Love that. I'm gonna look him up.
You mentioned Kiss. Doc McGee's building is literally like a block this way. If you could see through the window on the other side of the backdrop here.
There you go.
Right behind us. Or in front of us, depending on where you're standing.
Yeah, right.
So what took you from the music industry to marketing, to RedStory?
Well, as of
do tell.
Yeah, when there came a point where I realized that maybe there was something else I needed to do, because when the money's good in the music industry, it's good, and when it's not, there's zero.
Right.
And I was looking at some friends of mine that were some of the most talented guitarists and songwriters I knew, and they were giving guitar lessons at a large Sunset Strip music store.
Sure.
And I just didn't want to be my age now doing that.
Right.
So I started to look at other opportunities. I had the opportunity to spend a little bit of time transitioning into the business world. I worked for NBC TV and NBC Productions. I was doing contract administration. So I started to learn contracts and business and music licensing through that. through a whole series of just kind of opportunities and meeting people, I ended up kind of missing the experience that came along with being a performing artist.
Right.
But knew that that probably wasn't the direction I wanted to go. So I kind of looked for opportunities to get into events, and tried to specialize in something that I felt that was kind of relevant. Ended up in the beauty business, believe it or not, and started doing training shows and had the opportunity to work for Vidal Sassoon in Los Angeles. Ended up getting involved into education for beauty.
Do you know brands. that was my nickname in high school?
Vidal?
Vidal.
I love that. See,
yes, sir.
So much
What?
here.
Do you know
that
now?
I thought I heard every one of your stories.
I'm telling you right now, I still have my Vidal Sassoon hair dryer from 1984, and I still use it.
Well, you know, when
I'm just saying.
Yeah. Well,
dude knew how to make a hair dryer.
Absolutely, but he also knew how to transform an industry. He single-handedly changed the approach to how you create shape.
Yes.
In hair. He approached it like an architect.
Yeah.
And he created an experience within those salons that was really focused on the core value of being a craftsman and being dedicated to creating a customer experience that they could leave that salon and be liberated from having to put their hair in rollers and getting perms. It was all about these perfectly cut shapes within this environment.
And they could let it flow.
Escalated the experience of the consumer. And that didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
And to this day, whether you're going to a salon or a barber, when they pick that hair up and they put it between their fingers and take a section, that's Vidal Sassoon.
Is that right?
And he has continued to this day been the godfather of classic technical hair cutting. He's the Eddie Van Halen of the hair world, you know, or the, you know, the Jimi Hendrix, whatever. But through that, I got this real incredible passion for experiences that were founded in a process. And fast forward all these years, when we decided to launch RedStory, it was like the first thing we had to do is we had to have a real unique process. But by getting involved with Sassoon, and then I had the opportunity to work for Aveda and got to work with Horst, the founder of Aveda.
Cool.
And just learned retail through those experiences as well. And retail, you know, the consumer buyer journey through a beautifully well-crafted retail space that's connected to a salon and spa just creates these emotional connections. And so, long story short, between the music industry and the beauty industry and realizing the power that a brand experience has, I was really called back into, like, you know, the opportunity to get involved with a company that is really focused on the foundation of the music industry and the technical that I learned from my time at Sassoon, and the business part that kind of came with, you know, 4 or 5 years at NBC and contracts. And it just kind of came together when I met my business partner, John Boyd, down here in Franklin. And we launched RedStory in 2019 as a concept, and opened on March 2nd of 2020, which is a whole nother story if we want to get into.
Yeah, I guess so. So what is RedStory?
RedStory is an experiential marketing firm that really believes in connecting people with brands, and those people to positive change in the world, creating true, authentic consumer-customer relationships and emotional connections, whether it's a B2C event or a B2B event. But it's really about bringing people together, having a message that can transform communities and brands in which they live, work, and serve.
That speaks to me.
Yeah. You had a little foray into the beauty world as well.
I did.
Yeah,
I did. You really want me to? I don't think I can go there on camera.
I think you have to go there now.
It's too late. You're committed.
I think you have to.
So there's a certain movie star who recently had some bad press because he might have got a little slap happy. We'll put it that way. He got a little slap happy with someone who spoke against his wife, and I had happened to do a little consulting work with his ex-wife years ago, and she did this wonderful product, which man, I'm just so not comfortable talking about. So certain people with certain types of skin have different issues, apparently, as I am told. And there can be issues of something called ashiness.
Mm-hmm.
And so she came up with a product, and her product is a can of whoop ash. And so she wore like a white pleather cat suit with the whip, and you can open up a can of whoop ash. I am so afraid of this whole conversation.
We're in a safe space, except for the
I don't know how safe
listening.
this is.
Yeah,
I do not know. And so I helped them develop some of their presentation products for their when they would go out and sell it into the beauty world.
Well, it sounds like a true experiential activation.
Yes, you
each
could
and every
actually
stop.
you could Google can of whoop ash,
I'm going to do that as soon as I
and you will
like,
see
before I
her in
drive
her
away.
white bodysuit with her whip. I mean, beautiful lady, a beautiful product, and for beautiful people.
Well, that really does speak to the power of experiential too, because it was relevant for for the audience.
Right.
It had, a great, kind of relevancy to the name of the brand. And,
Yes.
it came together and you took it to where the people were.
Right.
And I think that's the key component of any kind of really strong campaign, is that it's relevant and discoverable, and now more than ever shareable. So it's pretty cool.
I just consulted on the design of their trade show, so
well, you can take more credit.
So.
It sounds super.
Whatever else we say, I'm just so appreciative that you got us to that point.
I
don't know if that's a good thing or bad.
Yeah,
I'm glad I could.
So afraid of this episode.
Yeah, it all started with a story about Kiss. So
yeah,
there you go.
And Farrell.
Yeah, it all comes together.
Oh well,
And Vidal Sassoon. Did you meet Vidal?
Yes, I did. It was very.
Tell me something.
Probably the coolest,
something interesting.
The coolest experience when I was at Sassoon. He was very involved in a nonprofit organization in Los Angeles. There was basically a facility that housed children that were in transition.
Wow.
Some of the kids went in when they were very young and never left until they left high school. And we would go in as a team and cut these kids' hair. Many of them who really some who had never had a real haircut in their life.
Right.
Some that were very scared of adults. And we went in to let them know that it's okay.
You came in with your scissors and
knives, but came in and really talked to them and treated them, with respect.
Wow.
And in many cases, hopefully gave them hope of what they could do in their life. And Vidal was a testament to overcoming adversity. And there's a great documentary. You can look it up on Netflix and watch it. It's fascinating. And if you haven't seen it, you should see it.
Well, there's something
it will inspire you to making a difference. But that was probably the coolest thing, and being so committed to the work that he did, and the work that he did with his wife, Beverly, at the time.
Very
in
cool.
the nonprofit world. And that also really is, rolled over into the work that RedStory does as well. Probably about a third of the work that we do does support nonprofit organizations and support associations that are doing, amazing work, that are transforming lives and making a difference in the world.
I love that's how Steve and I even became friends. So working in some nonprofit things with kids here in the community. So
well, I would imagine with RedStory, you guys have gotten to work with some pretty cool people and done some interesting projects. What are some of your most memorable projects you've worked on?
Yeah, well, in the nonprofit world, coming out of, let me step back. When we launched RedStory, we were primarily working in the music industry when we were first starting. We had a large production company as well that we owned, and we're creating experiences and an approach to concert experiences and live entertainment experiences with artists that was a little different. We kind of considered ourselves almost like a record label that could. We approached it like a record label. We wanted to help artists develop what their live shows look like.
Right.
Vast majority of that work was in contemporary Christian music.
Right.
And through that work with contemporary Christian, we were connected with some very large international profits, Food for the Hungry, Compassion, World Vision.
Worked with all those.
So we would work, we understood how the touring model worked. And so we would work with those artists to kind of, let's rethink your approach to your show. Let's rethink how you're going to have your ask, in the live event space. And my business partner, John, that's his sweet spot. John Boyd, he's an incredible creative artist, incredible creative director. He's been a creative director for a number of large, international contemporary Christian artists. But he was able to actually, take the concept that we were working on and work with these artists and really start to then create the production support around a show experience, not having a really cool show and then jamming a set list in because it works with the gear. So it was a different way of approaching that. So we were finding success. Obviously, the company had success in that. I really decided that the opportunity that I was really tasked with is let's grow corporate, let's grow associations, let's take this concept and transition it. With our creative team, we realized that we were making this incredible content, developing these incredible experiences to get a semi truck full of gear on the road for 6 weeks. And it was kind of backwards. The value proposition was a little off because the nonprofits that were supporting the tours were really thrilled because their revenues were up because it was a really impactful message. There was a lot of thought that was going into the production design. So the production managers were thrilled because maybe they weren't spending as much as they need to, or they were spending money on the right solution because it aligned with the nonprofit, aligned with the artist. Everybody was happy, everybody was winning. So we took that and decided to start, the RedStory as a spin-off of this company. I was able to secure some incredible opportunities. The first opportunity we did was an event for Facebook. So we were like, pretty cool first gig. And it kind of reminded me of my first show in LA. I was like, on the Tonight Show, I was like, there's something here. Now, granted, it's you can start here, but then you got to fall and do it all again. So there was a lot of work that went into it. So that was a really great experience where we started to hone that process that we were using into corporate. That was the first show was February of 2020 for this grand opening of this data center. It was the largest data center that Facebook had done at the time. So it was a really great opportunity. The teams from California were there. This was up north for this data center, and the community was there. The state was there. It was a really big deal. It was super huge success.
What a year
It was incredible. The second event we did was an opportunity with meeting an industry event organizer called Connect Biz Bash. Probably one of the largest kind of hosted buyer experiences in our industry. But we did a DEI activation that really was communicating to meeting and event professionals. Are you designing experiences that meet the needs of a diverse audience? And that was really cool because President Obama, at the time, former president, was the keynote speaker. That was the very end of February. March 2nd, we took our website that was kind of hidden because we were doing these other shows, getting things started, kind of like a soft opening. March 2nd, we flipped the switch on our website. We moved into our offices in downtown Franklin, had our team meeting. We had a pretty robust pipeline of stuff. And then 2 weeks later, we sent everybody home. So, yeah, I mean, it was like, and all of that pipeline went. There were no corporate shows. There was nothing. So,
definitely no conventions or tours.
Being a startup, we did have some capital that we were fortunate with our business partners. And our primary business partner said, you can either just let everybody go and ride this out like everybody else, or you can spend some of the startup capital and look to ways to innovate. We chose the latter. At the time, I was living in downtown Franklin. My business partner lived in downtown Franklin, and his daughter was graduating from Franklin Middle School, those in the special school district. That school that goes to 6th grade, and that graduation, I think in 6th grade, is a really big deal for those kids and those families. And it was canceled. So we went to the school board and we went to the principal and said, hey, we're not sure exactly what all this virtual stuff is, but we want to figure it out now before everybody else. And we would like to offer you some kind of immersive virtual graduation for these kids. They're like, well, we don't have any money. And like, well, we don't either, but we're just going to do it because we have time and we care about the community. And that was the core purpose that we founded RedStory on. It's like, let's make a difference in our communities. Let's connect people with brands and organizations for change and for positive good. What could we do better than to maybe help these kids that were really sad because they weren't going to get to have that graduation? It was a big deal. So we got together with our creative team and we spoke with the school district and the principals, and we reached out to all the parents, and we came up with this concept. We said, we want to do a car line where the kids can come up, they can jump out of their car. And we built this big green screen in front of the school, and we had cameras. We were all masked up, and the kids got to come and stand in front of the green screen and tell a story.
I love it.
We had the teachers there. The music teacher did a performance there. We went back and created this virtual, auditorium,
right?
All these cool graphics, like the kids were in superhero outfits when they came with their heads, and
awesome.
We created this like immersive virtual experience, and then we just sent it out, and it was, believe it or not, they had more attendees virtually than they'd ever had. We had individuals from New Zealand and from England and from all over the world that were able to tune in and see their granddaughter or their cousin or whoever,
right?
Their friends were like seeing this thing, and it was super successful and super rewarding.
Yeah.
And it was zero revenue, but we didn't care.
Right.
And honestly, that was probably one of the most transformational experiences that we created for our business, because doing that work helped us secure opportunities now that have been, I still put that case study in proposals. I'm like, this is really early, but you have to see it because of the impact that it made. And it's helped us work with the Tennessee Department of Education, the Ohio Department of Education, doing STEM, empowerment and training opportunities, and worked with one of the largest nonprofits in the world, which is Battelle, who funds a lot of those along with boards of education. And they've been an incredible partner. And had we not done that one experience for Franklin Special School District, we wouldn't have had that case study that got the attention of Battelle.
Incredible.
So I'm very grateful to the Franklin Special School District, and I'm super grateful for Battelle, because we found kind of our footing in creating experiences that were different. And it's continued to scale upon that through the work that we did in the nonprofit world. We had the opportunity to work on a virtual event, Unite to Fight Poverty, which was World Vision, Food for the Hungry. They all came together. We did the branding. We helped them kind of do a co-branding experience for that. So that was a really great next step. And through that, we had the opportunity to work with International Justice Mission in DC, world's largest anti-poverty, anti-slavery group in the world. Coming out of COVID in 21, they didn't have a creative and experiential marketing team. So they asked us to come in and kind of fill that gap for about 18 months. We helped them create donor journey activations. We helped them create their high wealth donor experience for the first time. That was really super successful. It was a collaborative effort with their teams. We brought 100 couples together in Sonoma in 23, and we raised $1 million over a weekend.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, it goes back to that, those little things that build upon one another. And had we not done that event for the Franklin Special School District graduation, from out of the goodness of our heart to just keep ourselves forward, we wouldn't have had those incredible opportunities.
Do you still have all the production from your old production company?
No, we found a partner that kind of collaborated that took that. That being said, we do have a new partner, and we've merged back into that world a little bit.
Have you?
Through another relationship that we've developed, a business relationship with another AV company. So
cool.
Somehow you always end up back.
The
more gear, the better. And at the end of the day, we've got some pretty cool gear that helps us do some incredible activations. So I'm really proud of the work that we do with Above Sound Lighting.
Very cool.
We need to put him in touch.
Well, hold it. I want to know who's your partner.
It's a company called ASL based in Columbus, Ohio. It's
okay.
Yeah. There, but we're all,
Oh yeah. They're friends, or they know each other. Carl Taylor, CTS.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I do know them very well.
Oh yeah.
We just went out there the other day to see their big
oh my goodness.
That's screen wall.
Yeah, that's they're a great company.
Incredible.
We've connected and had some conversations.
And you should.
They're doing some amazing work.
Big stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. He always ran all my tours for me.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah, he was all head of my production. He and his son.
Wow.
So yeah.
Well, I'm
back in the day.
Tell him we had a conversation.
Absolutely.
Maybe we should go out and visit him together.
We should.
Yeah, I'd love that.
Talk about immersive.
Yeah.
Have you seen his latest?
I haven't.
You got to see it.
Oh, yeah.
I want to go with you to show you that.
Well, we'll schedule that.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Actually, I woke up thinking about that this morning. That I have some people I want to share that with. So we need to set that up.
Let's do a field trip.
Very cool.
Let's do it.
Awesome.
So I feel like
more to come.
Kind of coming out of COVID, there was a lot of innovation, a lot of of merging of sort of these live experiences with the digital world. Eminem did a concert on a video game.
Yeah, right.
Like all kinds of things started happening. What kinds of things do you see coming down the pipe in that world, and further merging of live and digital?
Yeah, well, I think probably the one in the meetings and event industry. So we'll kind of get out of entertainment, get out of when you look at meetings and events. And I'm also I'm the current president of MPI Tennessee. MPI is the world's largest meeting and event professional association, and so I'm currently the president here in Nashville for the state of Tennessee. We have about 200 and close to pushing 300 members, both certified meeting planners and suppliers. Um, but one of the things that I think that really we learned through that, and MPI, we've supported them in understanding that through COVID, you have to make sure that you're measuring everything. So, and I think all businesses realized coming out of in the event space, all of a sudden when we weren't together, we weren't just measuring ticket sales. We were measuring website visits. We were measuring what the attendance was on virtual, what the engagement was. Are people chatting? Are they sharing information? Are they connecting off and tying that together? So the core foundation of RedStory, especially since we were launching at a time during that transformational time in the industry, was we believe you have to measure everything. So there's kind of 4 principles, 3 key, like 3-legged stool. One, every experience that we do needs to be founded in data. So what are we measuring? What previous data do we have that we can acquire through the brand or the activation? Then what are we forecasting that data model to look like after? So we have data and analytics processes that we put into place. The second piece is understanding behavior science. You need to understand who your attendee is, who you're trying, what makes that human, and what drives them to find relevancy in the experience that you're trying to create. And then that third piece is really around spatial design and spatial analysis, understanding how people move through a space, whether it's digital or it's in person. You have to have a real understanding of how they're going to experience that space or that site. And that once you understand those 3 primary components, you then can create a really strong creative brief that supports all of those. So through that, I think the key and what's happening now is through the incredible power of AI is getting even more detailed on the analytics. We have partnered with an AI firm based in Austin called Zenus, and what that is non-facial recognizable facial analysis. So when we
non-facial facial recognition.
Yeah,
I am so confused.
Non-identifiable, excuse me for that. Non-identifiable facial recognition.
Wow.
So what it does is basically when we do an event, we recently did an event in Boston, and it was really successful to see that deployed. There are cameras around the room that are they're feeding to a database that can tell anytime you smile, anytime you frown, anytime you yawn, when you look down at your phone, when you get up and leave the room and come back.
So it's looking at all the different faces,
analyzing micro
every single expression.
That's amazing.
And we can then tie that data, time align it basically to the presentation and follow the engagement levels of the conversation or the content experience. It's an amazing, amazing product, and it's just part of our tech stack that we're deploying within our experiential marketing, because we want to know. I'm working with them to try to figure out a way to actually. There's a bit of a delay because you go to the cloud, and then the cloud's got to interpret that data through the software back. So there's a couple minute delay. The goal is to be able to get that in real time, so then we could have a presenter or maybe an artist to think right. Where on their confidence monitor, they could be like, "Hey, dude, you're starting to lose them. You need to do something," And then with a great producer calling the show, you could actually A/B test or A/B content slides where like certain things worked. you flip on the phone. A really great presenter would be able to be really agile like a great artist.
Right.
So there's some things I think that's really the key in the future in the
blowing my
experience
mind.
industry, is really understanding in real time what is motivating your audience or connecting to your audience and what isn't. And that's all kind of, I think, founded in digital marketing as a whole. Like how many, you're doing a campaign, it's like you're going to try to reach out to clients. You got your AB email thing. Oh, this one worked. We changed the word here. This worked better. But this gives you that data almost in real time. And even for us at this point, we do impact reports on every experience that we do produce. We go through an understanding of what we'd agreed upon early, what was the data, was the behavior science, what was the spatial experience, and what was the creative. Allow this as one of those tools that go along with surveys and go through ticket sales and registration.
It's like the Nielsen ratings on jet fuel.
You put it all together, and then and then for a meeting and events professional, you can go back to those key leaders, your stakeholders, because the number one thing in events, especially corporate events, nonprofit events, association events, like you have a CFO who's really, they're all amazing people, right? And they want to spend money, but they only want to spend money if they're going to see a return on it.
Of course.
And many times kind of in the marketing, channels, it's been, events are great. They're great for brand recognition, but how do we really, validate and what that return on that investment was? So by having these impact reports and approaching your experiences with a data-centered, forward, behavioral science designed approach, then they can understand, because then you can start to tie it into something tangible. We did a great event with Lane Bryant, which is owned by a retail store. And we went through our process, and we really usually try to like boil it down to a few really impactful data points. And one of the three that we came up with, basically was there. We know if our consumer satisfaction surveys go up, we're going to win on our bottom line. So it was basically that simple. How can we create an all associate meeting of store leaders, district managers, and leadership team to empower them to have more passion for the brand, to go out and serve their customers on a higher level? Because through the research that we did, we understood that the consumer for that particular retail experience isn't going there because they have to. They're going there because they want to, but they're creating one-on-one human connections with their store associate. So we went through tons of data. We went through all their social. We did a social listening campaign. We looked at survey results. We looked at emails and listened to phone calls from customer service representatives, that what they would call. And we found these stories, and we were able to uncover this narrative that those customers were coming into their local store because they had a store associate that they cared about. And amazing, it reminded me of the beauty business.
Interesting.
You go to your hairdresser, you go to your barber because you have a relationship with them, and you go back and you go back. And if they recommend a product, you buy it.
Of course.
And that's what's happening. And they're doing incredible work. I'm a huge fan of that brand. I mean, they empower women to feel, bold and powerful. And it's a beautiful brand story. But through that, in that process, at the end of when we did the debrief and the impact report, there were certain things that we needed to get back from them. So we had our debrief meeting, and the CFO walked into the meeting. Of course, for whatever reason, we were there early, or he was late or whatever, but we were sitting around the room, like waiting for him to come in.
Yeah.
And he opens up his laptop, and he was like, he pulls this thing up, and he puts, this number on the screen. That was an improvement in their customer satisfaction surveys 6 weeks post-conference. And he went, as far as I'm concerned, it was worth every penny. He said, thanks, have a great day. We'll see you next year. And we were just like, whoa, so cool. So it's kind of validating, and we're really continuously looking to have process improvement on this. But at the end of the day, more actionable real-time data is the future of live events.
I love how you're able to apply it to so many different areas, so many different types of products.
Yeah, we put everything kind of through a qualifier a little bit, to make sure we're serving the right client.
Yeah, but from Lane Bryant to Food for the Hungry, I mean, come on. Yeah, that's amazing.
It's an incredible team, and I can't give enough credit to my partner John.
Both organizations are great.
Yeah. But they're all trying to make a difference in their community.
That's right.
They have a business model that they have to support, but at their core, it's what can we do to serve? What can we do to be of value? And how can they, make a difference in the lives of, again, those at which they live, work, and serve?
I love it.
It's interesting, a lot of this AI stuff, some people are afraid of it, but it has the ability to really level the playing field and give the smaller businesses a lot of room to compete. Like, some of what you're talking about with analyzing facial expressions at these big events, we're starting to see some of that roll down into even like sales coaching, where calls are monitored, and they're working on eventually monitoring like Zoom, so you can see the facial expressions and stuff too. So you get kind of real-time feedback on how that call went, some things you could have done to improve it, and then you get a cumulative score of like, here's typical things that you need to work on just based on the reaction you're getting from the other person. It's so crazy.
It all blows my
Well,
mind.
I think it boils down to it's a tool like any other tool, and we're both old enough to remember Pro Tools was going to kill the music industry.
Right.
It's like the cassette tape was got killed. The DVDs, like everything's going to kill everything.
That's right, because you
But
can record live.
Yeah, they do become tools, and
That's right.
if those tools can help you be more authentic, the brands that are authentic, the processes that are authentic, the products that are authentic are going to always rise to the top.
Yes.
100%. But that doesn't mean that you still can't utilize those tools, because in our industry, in the meeting and events industry, and in the marketing industry, both, there is this fear of, especially if you look at, for example, the meeting management side of our business. We're sourcing hotels, we're sourcing venues, we're sourcing support services, all those kind of transactional things. Those technically, probably at some point, are going to be 90% fleshed out with AI technology. You could put in, whatever and the market you're in. But it's interpreting that and making sure that it fits within an overall strategy is where the authenticity comes, that you need to have a human there. Because at the end of the day, you're not taking an AI, platform and marrying with AI platform. We're just putting people together.
Right.
So I do think that there is some fear, like, am I going to lose my job? And it's like, well, maybe you need to reevaluate how you're approaching your job and embrace the tools. And I'm sure it's the same in real estate.
Sure.
Who knows? It's an ever-changing world, but without the tool can make you more informed and give you the data. And also, I think AI has been pretty cool where we've used some of the other, applications that are out there to kind of see, like, this is what you don't want to do.
Right.
Because you can also use it to find, like, what is something that does this fit within a model? But it's all about, I think, utilizing it as a tool.
What kinds of challenges do you see, trying to transition a brand identity into an experience? Like, are there typical things you always come across?
Yeah, I think one of the things first is, really communicating, that an activation and a branded experience isn't necessarily just defined as a singular event. Having those conversations with brand stakeholders, clients in general, it's you have to have a cycle. You have to build the awareness, you have to build the excitement, you have to have the experience, you have to, like, nurture that along the way. Then you have to continue it. So we tell our clients that if we're doing a brand activation or an event or a product launch, that it's not a singular it's not a date on a calendar. And especially when you look at larger corporate trade shows, experiences, that are more B2B focused, they need to be 365-day experiences. Nonprofits, we talk to our nonprofit partners about that all the time. If you're going to do a fundraiser, you're not just going to do a fundraiser one year and then go, oh, let's just do the same thing next year. You have to nurture that. And you have to have a strategy that supports that. So I think that sometimes that is very difficult depending on who the primary decision makers, and they're more difficult sometimes to get to. And you've got some gatekeepers that are like, oh, I'm the meeting person, or I'm the event person for this thing. They have they've been told a budget, and they're working to a budget. We always tell someone, like, we don't care about what the budget is. Let's create the experience. And then there are realities financially. And then let's craft an experience that fits around that budget, but give you the tools that you need to know that you can validate if you need more, only if it's validated by the process. So I do think that that's one of the things where it's probably the most difficult is really, you know, having those stakeholders understand that an experience or a brand, activation is not a singular event, that it is a 365-day approach, because that's where the value is.
Mm-hmm. It sounds like largely you work with some pretty large players. Do you see this sort of trickling down into, smaller businesses as well? Do you work with any small
Yeah,
businesses?
we do. I mean, it's always easy to talk about the big, it's the eye candy.
Right.
It's always fun to like, hey, we did this thing for Facebook, but we do also work with a lot of startups. We've had the opportunity to help founders, develop a brand.
Mm-hmm.
Our brand and marketing team, a branding team, does incredible work, and we follow that same process, whether it's an event or it's a straight up marketing job, because we do straight up digital marketing and brand development for clients as well. Understanding, truly who is your audience, who you're trying to reach,
Right.
what's relevant to them, what data do you need, and crafting a brand that is strong, that connects with someone on that emotional level. That's always the key. What can we do in creating brands? It's not a logo, it's all those things, and then you guys understand that. It's so much deeper than that. And I think from what you've told me about your business, it's creating those one-on-one experiences where they feel special and they feel heard and they feel listened to. And working with founders or startups or smaller firms, we work with some really small nonprofits because we care. Again, working with founders, but let's find out what that key is and let's help you get a foundation to grow. I just had a great conversation earlier today with a client. We have one association that is close to our hearts, and we have helped them basically rebrand their business, and it's given us access to about 200 opportunities.
Wow.
It's great. And so it's been a really great equitable exchange of value. And some of these brands are startups, and they're looking to really develop. Some of them are looking for capital, and we've helped some brands create pitch decks that have like helped them get additional series of funding.
Right.
We've helped someone get a SBA loan because they went to the bank and the bank was like, this is the best presentation I've ever had. So those things are where we really, you never know when one of those brands is going to turn into the next Meta.
That's right.
So we're there, and we're still technically a startup too. So we have our own challenges too. It's like finding the right people and making sure that we have the right vendors and resources to grow. And I think we just really want to help brands, enable them to create a strong presence in their community and the communities in which they are doing business, and give them the tools that they need to succeed.
That's good.
So looking ahead, what are some of the new projects or initiatives coming to RedStory that you're excited about?
Gosh, we have quite a bit of opportunity in the med tech space and in medical in general, in pharma. We've been tasked with some large training organizations in med tech that are looking to create community and looking to be able to create community around ways to engage residents and fellows with more established health systems, some in underserved markets as well. If you're a resident or fellow, you may not want to go to some tiny little town in Wyoming, but there could be an incredible, not to pick on Wyoming, it's a great state. Just kind of came to mind, but being able to create community. And that's one of the things that we're really looking, as we look forward and we're using this process that we have, we want to make sure that we're enabling our brands and our partners to first focus on your community, because that's what you can influence the most. So some of these associations, they're doing CME events, continuing medical education events, but in the past, many of those have been very transactional. You go to the conference, you listen to somebody talk, and you bolt. And you get your CME and you go about life in your practice. But we have been able to have the opportunity to work with some of these associations that are really focused on community building. And I do think that part of the way you build community is different than the way you generally would have been taught to build an audience,
right?
Especially with traditional, sales and business development and marketing, where that funnel, you're pushing people through, until you get them where you want them. And I think that that's flipped. There's actually a great article on Vogue Business. It's called Gen Z Broke the Marketing Funnel. So what they did is they took the funnel and they basically laid it flat, because it's all about community and creating conversations around what matters. So I think that's been exciting for us, in that space. We want to apply that work to some other, corporate experiences that we have in our pipeline. So we're really looking forward to how we can approach that a little differently.
So for businesses that are interested in getting into experiential marketing, what are some of the initial steps that you would recommend to make sure it's a successful partnership?
First and foremost, make sure that you understand your audience. Who is your audience? Who is your consumer? Who are you serving? Where do they spend time? What are they influenced by? And I think especially for small and mid-sized businesses, create some small experiences on your own. I have a friend of mine that has a beautiful salon and spa in Ohio. And when she was designing the space, she really wanted to make it as a community experience. She decided to incorporate the opportunity to have, she actually has a full working bar and coffee shop within there. And then on the weekends, she opens it up as an event space and brings the community in. So she's able to start to create some experiences just based on the tools and the assets that she has,
right,
to invite people in to have conversations that really have nothing to do with the core business of the beauty industry. So it's fabulous. And I think so many brands and business owners, if they just stood back and thought, what can I influence today? And how can I invite my audience to engage with it? You're starting an experiential marketing campaign that you may even not realize you're doing it, but you can do it. But I do think, understanding your audience, defining what data, find something that you can measure, like, did I have 4 people show up at my open house that have never been here before? I don't know what it is, but it could be really simple, and take those baby steps. There are so many resources online. If you Google experiential marketing agencies, and feel free to Google experiential marketing agency RedStory, and you'll learn there's a ton of resources on there.
Right.
This shameless plug. But
I'm all about the shameless plug.
But if you do look,
see all the logos behind
I love that. There are so many resources that are available. And just try something, commit to try, utilize resources that you can search up and apply those and see how that works. I do fully believe the power of experience can transform a brand in a way that a digital campaign can't, but they have to be married together, because you do have to reach people. And we're all walking around with these devices, and we're all got our faces and screens.
It's true.
But if you can bring them together and create an opportunity where maybe they're going to sit that screen down for a minute, but before they go, they want to take a picture and share it, that's a win for everybody.
Right.
Yeah.
So for businesses that are interested in engaging RedStory, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
Absolutely. You can go to redstory.co. You can fill out a form, and I'll probably be the one that reaches back out to you.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. Well, we're running out of time, so
he's so rude. We were having good conversation, and he's just cutting us short.
Well, I'm sure we're going to hang out again. So
absolutely,
we're going to go on that field trip. So
yeah, there you go. Maybe we should bring the cameras with us.
We should.
We could be like a roving reporter.
Yeah, there you go.
That would be great.
I'm just saying, it's a fantastic day.
Well, Michael, it was a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you so much. This was really fun. I really enjoyed it.
Good.
Relatively painless.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Well, with that, we'll see you guys next time.
Thanks.
Yes.
Well, that's a wrap on today's episode of Behind the Curtain, Nashville's Movers, Shakers,
and Tastemakers.
We hope you've been inspired by the stories of passion, perseverance, and innovation right here in Nashville.
A big thank you to our guests for sharing their journeys, and to you, our listeners, for joining us. And of course, our gratitude to Chord Real Estate for making this conversation possible.
Don't forget to follow or subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform.
Thank us.
Yes, you did.
Oh, I guess I did. Well, thank us. Okay.
Like I was saying.
Oh, yeah.
Don't forget to follow or subscribe on your favorite platform to catch every episode, and hit that notification bell. We've got plenty more fascinating guests lined up, ready to share their insights and inspirations.
And we love hearing from you, so reach out to us with your thoughts, questions, or suggestions for who you'd like to hear from next.
Until next time, keep chasing your dreams and making your mark in Nashville.
Oh, my goodness.
Remember,
am I talking to Casey
it's
Kasem?
the people behind the scenes that make the city shine.
I love it. Take care. See you behind the curtain.